right. Hello, everyone. We're going to do some fun things today. Hopefully you think it's fun. Today is our last day of tutorials for Photoshop. You're going to have a few little projects and then we're going to move on to InDesign. And so I'm going to show you a lot of fun things today when we get started. So I'll give people another minute and then get people checked off for being here. AJ's here. Emma's here. I know it's a lovely day outside. Tomorrow's supposed to be sunny and 60 though. So yeah, for real. So we can just all have our eyes on tomorrow. And I'm getting my second vaccine today. So it'll be a good day no matter what. I might feel sick tomorrow, so that's fun. Leah. I don't see Leah. Olivia. Bryson, you're there. Griffin, you're there. Jillian. Nope. Janathan, you're there. Is there anybody down in the computer lab down the hall? Okay. I give up. Jillian, no. Ashley going once, twice, no.
I'm here.
Oh, where are you? There
I'm
you
on Zoom.
I see you, your name up at the top. Okay, I'm like going cross-eyed trying to look at all these things. Olivia, once, twice, nope. Leah, nope. Bryson, you're there. Thomas, he's not here. I know why. Nick's here. Lindy's here. Caprice, did you show up? Yes, you did. You're all there. All right, we're gonna go with this. If it changes, email me. But if you need to email me, you're not on yet, so it doesn't make any sense. Server response error, that's great. Okay, whatever. Okay. Let me share my screen. Yes. All right. Let me minimize this. Minimize this. And share screen. All right, if everyone would go grab the syllabus, you're gonna need some links on there today for some things to go through in class. So you're gonna need those links. You need a way to watch me and do Photoshop at the same time. So if you can have me just over in the corner somewhere and then have your Photoshop opened, or if you want to put me on your phone and have Photoshop open if you're at home, those in the classroom, you're good to go. And so if you go to the syllabus, we are 370. And like I said, this is the last day of kind of Photoshop tutorial day in class. The second part of the semester, which we are almost to a middle part of the semester, can you believe it? Is we introduce InDesign. And so that's the second design program that you're gonna learn to use. And it's used for other things. And you can use Photoshop when you're putting stuff into InDesign. And so that's why we teach Photoshop first and then InDesign second. And so, but for this week, we're right here. we're going to go over some quick fixes and tricks. I'm going to name it that instead. And then just make sure you're familiar with all the aspects of color. And so I'm just going to show you some things today. You might want to, if you're one that forgets how to do things or where things are, you might want to take notes, or you can always like Google if you forget something I show you, but I'm just going to kind of run down a few things. And a lot of them are just tools and how to use them, and things you might not know you can do, things you may already know you can do, but I just want to kind of give you a overview of that. And we're going to play around with some pictures. And then if you click on Unit 6 worksheet right here and open that up, it's going to give you two parts. The first part goes over some of the tools we're going to talk about today in class. And the second part has two little like mini projects for you to do. And I will spend the last part of class going over the part 2, but part 1 we're going to do today. Part 2 you should be able to work on Wednesday and Friday of this week. Okay. There is no, is there a slight chance? I think your class is fine. My husband is having back surgery on Friday. And so I will not really be available for any type of like Zoom chat then, but I'll be able to take emails if you have any questions when you're finishing this. So just FYI on that. I'll be in Charlotte that day. So the first thing we're going to do is there are some pictures linked on all of these right here. As you can see, and I don't have one linked for colors and swatches because I'm just going to make sure you kind of know those things. But if you would go ahead and download those, you can start downloading them one by one, but we're going to start off with the pen tool and kind of looking and seeing what that does. The pen tool and the selection tool can do similar things. Yes, sir. Your Blackboard is not working. Well, I can eat. Is your email working?
It's just like no classes that I'm even showing up.
Okay, well, that's great. See if you can get to your email, because then if I can get to my email, I can send out an email. Okay, let's see if my Blackboard is working. Okay. That's always fun. Let's see if mine's working. All right. Syllabus link. All right. Let's see if this goes through. See if you get an email from me and it just has the link to the syllabus. If not, it is on a website and y'all can look and type in the website. Is everybody at home having the same issues? No, y'all got it?
Yeah, my Blackboard unavailable.
Okay, so check your email and you should just have gotten an email that looked like this. And you should be able to copy and paste that into this and it'll throw up that worksheet. You got it? Okay, the email worked. So everybody check your email if you're not able to get that. And then I don't work on Blackboard for this reason. I work on Google, so it's rarely down. So go ahead and pull up this right here. It's a skyline of Charlotte. I'm gonna find mine, and we're gonna look. But first of all, I'm gonna show you this, the pen tool. Let me see. I have a bunch of things pulled up because we're gonna go over a lot of things today. If I can use my time wisely, I'm gonna minimize y'all. So at home, holler out if you need me to slow down, stop, repeat something. But I'm gonna use my screen as big as I can get it today. Okay. I have my mouse. I'm ready to go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, that's not it. Practice start. Okay, here it is. The pen tool. Has anybody used the pen tool before for any good reason other than playing around with it? You've done. You can draw shapes freehand with the pen tool. You can also trace things with the pen tool. And that's your example, is you're going to trace the skyline of Charlotte and turn it into a black image. So that, for instance, if you wanted to do a skyline picture of something and you wanted to do one of a city of your choice, you'd pick a skyline photo and you can turn that into a black, like a black image or a purple image or whatever color you want the skyline with the pen tool. You can also get into path tracing with the pen tool. I'm not going to get into that because that can get complicated with what you can do with paths, but know that there is something called the path tool that you can use, and you can create paths and you can paint with paths and you can make colored shapes with paths, create images. So like say you have a fruit basket and you want to take the image of a pineapple and make it a yellow pineapple and use it on a postcard. You can use the paths tool to do that, and have that image that you use later. But we're just going to talk about how to use the pen tool right now pretty quickly. I'm not going to spend tons of time on this because it's something that you'll just have to click around and use, but I have a little diagram here to show you. So everybody see this? There are a few different types of pen tools, just like everything else. If you are scrolling down on your board, you get to this little thing that looks like an old-fashioned ink pen head. You can also hover over it. It says pen tool. And if you hover over it, also says learn how. And it allows you to it takes you to a tutorial if you want to do that. But if you click and hold, you see that there's pen tool. You see that there's a free form pen tool. You see there's a curvature pen tool. There's also add anchor points, delete anchor points, and then convert point tool. So these right here, I won't show you today, but if you're doing something and you think, oh, I want another point there to curve it in a different way, that's how you add it. If you want to take away points, you click on this. The first thing we're going to just click on the pen tool. And to draw a straight line, you click on the first dot, and then you can hold shift and click on the second dot. And then there's your line. Now I can keep clicking and it will create weird shapes, because if you look up here, my fill, F-I-L-L, is blue and my stroke is green. So it's going to create a shape wherever I'm drawing as if I wanted it to be like a complete shape, not just a line. I can take that away and make no fill, and then it would just be lines. Do you see that? Take those away. So there's the first way to draw a straight line. And to say you want it exactly straight, click once. Well, I have to do a new layer now if I want it to not be a part of that one. Every time you draw a shape, it's best to create a new layer so they don't try to interact with each other. So I click here, hold shift, and click there. It's going to be a straight line. If I click here, go away. If I click here and I don't hold shift, I can do it right there. It may be perfectly straight or it may be a little off, but holding shift makes sure you get that straight line every time. Okay. So that's a straight line. So an easy way to do a curve line, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to pick the curvature pen tool and I'm going to click here on these dots and it automatically curves it for me with the ratio that I'm clicking. So I don't want it to have a fill. I just want it to be the line. There you go. And then I can go back in here and move it around a little bit. You can also do it. It should work if you go from here to here. Let's see. If you put 2 points, it'll give it to you, and then you can round it out. Every time you click a point, that's that anchor point, I can restructure it how I want it. Okay? You can also use it for something like this. I'm gonna do a new layer so it doesn't have a heart attack when I'm trying to do something new. And every time I click to add a point, I can maneuver it. Okay? And then take the fill away. Now I just have my little line. You see it's not completely perfect, but I can kind of go back in there and adjust it. And you can do that after the fact or while you're doing it. So that's the curvature line tool. It's an easy way to do that. You can do it with the regular pen tool. If I remember to do a new layer every time, y'all would be benefited of that. So if I did this and I clicked here with the normal pen tool, it gives you that ability to curve it too with each click. However, the curvature pen tool is just an easy way they've made to where you don't have to do this fun stuff. Okay. All right. So now let's say you're trying, let's say this is a piece of a puzzle. You want to grab that piece of the puzzle and use it somewhere else. So we want to create this shape by tracing it with the pen tool. I want it to be teal, let's say. And I want the stroke to be, let's do a gray. Okay, so I can alternate which pen tools I use. So I'm gonna start with A, go to B, down to C, D, E, and then I can keep going to F. Oh, I push shift. And try to just kind of do it like this. Or I can switch tools in the middle and it'll keep doing it with the, you can see where I'm going. It'll keep doing it the same way. If you want to go ahead and make it do the automatic curvature tool. Right here is a little hard because you can't see where it looks. Okay, but then I can go back in and move these down, reshape them. And sometimes you get yourself in a mess with the pen tool if you don't click exactly where you want to go. So don't be alarmed if it's like this. That's why I like to go ahead and use the curvature pen tool. And then I'll click back to the regular pen tool, hold shift, then move it in to there, and then straighten that out a little bit. Okay, come on. And then this is a good place to show you if you want to add an anchor point. You go in here and you add one, and then you can go back to your pen tool and reshape it there. So I have this already finished for you right here. I'm having a little bit of issues with this one. There we go. So get this one there, then you can copy and paste it and use it wherever you want it to be. For class today, or for this thing, I'm going to ask that you use the skyline. And then one thing you can do is take the pen tool. Make the fill black, make the stroke black or whatever you want. You can make it teal or whatever. And then take this skyline. You might want to zoom in. But do a rough trace of the skyline of Charlotte. Now notice as you're clicking around, your shape may kind of change if you keep going up and down. Don't worry about that, because once you get to the very end and you connect it down at the bottom, it will all fill in. So up here at the top, if you're clicked on the pen tool, do you see this? Where it says fill and then stroke? Do you see, does that pop up at the top if you're clicked on the pen tool? Go ahead and create a new layer and then click on the pen tool. It should just pop up because that's your options bar when you're on the pen tool. Huh, let me see. Make sure you change it from path to shape. Sorry. You see where the top where it says yours might be set to path rather than shape? Yeah. Okay, and then it should give you that. So people at home, if you weren't getting the stroke and fill, it's because your settings were standard at path or shape. So there's a little drop down thing here, and there's a difference between path and shape. Make sure it's clicked on shape and you should be good to go. So I'm just going to click through here, make a skyline. I'm not grabbing that light or that wire pole. Notice it's looking a little crazy because remember, it's trying to connect all the shapes that you're doing, and it may think you're trying to do something you're not until you end your shape. This is just a fun thing. People like skylines. You could do a trace of one of the landmarks on campus like this. You could also do this with the freehand tool, or not the magnetic lasso or the lasso. And then there are ways to get it to where it would somewhat look black too. But now you see there's a pretty easy made skyline. Throw in a fun background, put it behind it. And anybody here from Charlotte? Not too far. I lived in Charlotte for about 10 years after school before getting married and coming back home. But then I grew up here too, so pretty similar. So anyway, quick little logo, Charlotte. With the Charlotte Hornets colors. All right, so I'll give everybody a few seconds to play around on that a little bit before we move on. And then we're going to go through some quick things. Let's see, what's next on the agenda? Red eye. This one's easy and quick. The next one you need to grab is, there's this photo of this girl's eyes. And we're going to use her to remind ourselves of a few things. So get your skyline done. If you want to go back to your skyline later, that's fine. It's part of this week's work. But we're going to move on to some other things. So yeah, just screenshot of it. Or if you want to save it and play around with it, feel free to do that too. But all I need is a screenshot on Chevy. So once you're there, go ahead and, anybody ever taken a picture like this? Red eye selfie with flashes. We're going to show you some quick ways of getting rid of that. Now, there's a few different ways of getting rid of red eye. I'll show you what maybe I used to do back in the old days before they added the red eye removal option. You can always clone black or paint black with a brush, and it gives a pretty good removal. So if I have, you can get your brush, get it about the same. Add a layer just for the fun of it. And click black. And you can kind of paint around it. And that's kind of what the red eye removal is doing. So if you would zoom out on a picture like this and you painted the pupils back black with a brush, that's one way to do it. If you have something black on a photo, you can clone it in there, but they have added a red eye removal option. So everybody with me now? Everybody ready? At home, you good? Okay, so if you're over here, you scroll down. I don't know what yours will be set on. The spot healing brush is what comes up first on mine. But if you see this little thing that looks like a Band-Aid, at the bottom, there's a red eye tool. If you click on that, make sure you're on the actual photo, not another layer. And you can draw a little square around the eye. And sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. This one's not working that great. There we go. I just had to draw a little bit bigger. You sometimes have to draw it a little bit bigger till it recognizes it. But easy, quick fix. You zoom in on it, you do that, zoom out. You can't tell that it was artificially done, okay? A few other reminders about things in that little palette. If you click back on where red eye removal is, there's the spot healing brush. There's the healing tool, the patch tool, content aware. We've worked on those a little bit one day, but just a reminder, if you are editing a picture, you want to do some easy touch-ups on someone, you can see she has a few little red marks. Maybe she, you know, depending on how well you want your eyebrows maintained, you can click on spot healing, and I'm just going to brush over that red mark here, brush over that red mark here, brush over a few of those, and it'll just kind of clean her up a little bit. Might give her a little bit of a eyebrow tidying. And it just kind of is an easy quick fix to get rid of any imperfections that are just minor, not there every day type things. Now you zoom out, easy quick fix, okay? So that's all for that. Now we're gonna get into something fun. So if you get those red eye things done, do a screenshot real quick, and then I have a photo for you. forget which one this one is. Oh, I got you a lily pad. I'm going to use something different because of what I have thrown up here. I'm going to use this one, but I gave y'all one that's a lily pad to do some filters with. Has anybody played around with the filter option in Photoshop yet? Okay, filters are an aspect of Photoshop that allows you to kind of change a photo into art in a way. I guess no other ways. It allows you to do some things pretty easily to a photo, to create some effects. And there are a lot of filters in Photoshop, I will tell you. If you have a photo up here and you go to filter, and right here are a bunch of different things. So for class today, we're going to go over the filter gallery. I'm going to make sure to differentiate that. And then blur is under filter blur. I'll leave out the T. Okay. All right. So if you're in the filter, I want you to click on filter gallery up here. Okay. When you do that, it's going to bring up a big box. Well, I'm going to have to change pictures because I played around with this one earlier. Don't save. Okay, so filter gallery. What's going on with my computer? Oh, I know why. Because I was playing with it earlier. Okay, so right here is the filter gallery. And I had a filter there already, so I'm going to take that out. Okay, this gives you artistic pictures, artistic things you can do to a photo, and it gives you a preview of what that might look like. So here's my little cow. I can turn it into something that looks like a colored pencil drawing. I can also change some of the aspects of that. I can change it to something that's something called a cutout, which simplifies the picture into blocks of color. And then I can also change the images of that. This one's kind of a fun way of turning something into a little more cartoony. You can still tell that's a cow, but it's now a little bit more cartoonish. Dry brush makes it look like it's painted with a dry brush. Film grain, fresco, all these do different things. I won't go into them all. You click through, you see the options. It really is just something you get around in, you play with. There's, there are times to use these. You don't want to put a crazy filter on everything and just think it's fun and art. You need to, have a good reason for using them, creating an effect that's cool. There's more in brush strokes. I mean, there's just tons of filters that you can do. They do create some fun things. One of my favorite ones, I'll tell you, is cutout. I like that. In distort, you can do diffuse glow, make it look like a stained glass. Ocean ripple, sketch. Sketch turns things into black and white for the most part. Looks like I have a green filter on mine somewhere, but it's because I have that color. Oh, I see why. But I won't go there. Stylize. Glowing edges kind of makes it look like a neon sign. Texture. One of my favorite ones in texture is this texturizer. It kind of makes it look like it's painted on a canvas. You can add multiple filters. So let's say I'm going to go back up here to cutout. And then I can go to this little plus bar and say new effect layer. And then on top of the cutout, I also want it to look like a watercolor. or smudged, or an ocean ripple, or stained glass, or put that cutout on a canvas. So that's kind of neat looking. Gives kind of a rustic feel. You push OK. It changes that filter. You go back up to filter gallery. It should save your filters. You can always delete them right here. And then cancel. And then you're there. You can always go into history, change back if you don't want it. But those are some fun filters that you could just play around with and explore different times where you think they might come into play. I've asked you for this to just turn something into something other than a photo. So make something look different by one of the filters. I will let you do that on your own so we can get through the last two things today. The next thing is blur. I have an image for you selected for that. I'm going to show you something different. Let's see, I'll do the, I'll do the cow again. I think I was going to do something else, but all right. So if you go back up into filter, there is a blur gallery. There's also blur, and if you do this, it'll kind of do things. So the Gaussian blur is a pretty standard one to use, and this one does it over the whole photo. So right there gives you the whole photo. All these types of blurs in the plain blur gallery do it on the whole photo. Okay. If you want to do something that's more specific, go to blur gallery. And there are 5 different types of blurs. So let's say I want the cow's face to be in complete focus, but I want to make other parts of the picture less blurry or more blurry. So right here, I'm going to put this right here under the first one. I'm going to change this all the way to nothing. And then every time I click, I'm going to get this little thing that allows me to blur that area to the amount that I want it blurred. Okay, and so that was under filter, blur. Oh, I got to push OK first. It was under filter, blur gallery, filled blur. And it gives you like little push pins you can push around it and make one part in focus, the rest blurred. So I'm going to undo that. Another way of doing blurs is an iris blur, which gives you kind of like this space looking thing with rings. It gives you the same little iris where if you want to do it in a circle just like that, you can change it to change the shape by dragging these in and out, up and down. You can change the kind of the shape of it, how much distance it goes from a little bit of a blur to a lot of blur. So there's a lot of different options there. Real quickly, there's tilt shift blur. This allows you to put an effect where you're making lines of blur. So it gives you this. So I wanted to kind of make it where it's an angle. I can drag these out just like everything else. It's customizable. And push OK. Now my little cow's blurred in an angle kind of. Another type of blur is the path blur. This allows you to kind of give motion to something. So you can imagine maybe you have a car going and you want to blur behind it. You can make the path behind it blur. You can also add anchor points on it. Say I was making the cow run. So behind the cow is blurred. So it just gives an angle to it. And then the last type of blur is called the spin blur, and it does exactly what it says. It makes crazy spins, makes you feel dizzy. And you can place that anywhere on the object, on the image. You can increase the amount of blur, make it look like a hurricane. My computer's froze just for a second. There we go. Or that kind of looks like a Saturn with all the rings. Anyway, that's that type of blur. So a lot of different ways to blur an image. A lot of people like to play around with depth of field in photography. This gives you a way of playing around with that after the fact. So if you know anything about photography, you're wanting to take a picture, you want the image up close to be in focus, you want the background to be all blurred. You take the picture, maybe everything's in focus or not as blurred. You go back home, you throw it into Photoshop. You have a lot of control over making that look artistically like you want it to be. Okay, any questions about blurring? So we went over quickly filter galleries, how to blur. There's also, let's see, I won't go into it. There's also some things called Liquify. Liquify, a lot of people use it to edit photos. Maybe it has some bad reputation for people using it to make people thinner, like on magazine photos, because you can like take someone's arm and cut it half its size basically by just dragging it in. I'll show you an example of Liquify with, well, I'll make her nose. So let's say I want to give her a nose job. I go into filter, I go into Liquify, and let's say, this is a bad example, but you can see I can really contour her nose in if someone wants to look like. It just kind of turns it into Play-Doh, basically, and I'm doing a terrible job of it. But if you were to take someone's, you know, arm and do this enough, you could, you know, take 10 pounds off real quick. And if you do a good enough job, they'll look different on a magazine cover. But Liquify can do other things other than make people look better on, or not even better, make people look thinner on a magazine cover. There are other ways to use it, but there's just a few things in filter. Sharpen is one we haven't gone over. You can use Sharpen to give a little bit more definition to the edges on your photo. I wouldn't do this too much. I'm not a big fan of Sharpen unless you just need it a little bit. Maybe it's a tiny bit blurred. Sharpen will help it a little bit. There are also stylized options that give similar things to filters. So be sure to play around with all of those options if you're interested in learning. One thing I like about Stylize, I like the oil paint. Makes it kind of look like a Van Gogh painting. So if you go into filter, Stylize, oil paint, you can play around with the brush strokes of it, the scale of it. Using her face isn't the best example. It does a really cool one with this one. I'll show you. So Stylize, oil paint. It turns it into something that looks like Van Gogh art real quick. So that would be kind of a neat thing, a neat wall hanging if you like cows. A few other things in that before I go over to the last thing. All right, last thing today is 3D. So they've made 3D easier in Photoshop. You might be interested in this. But you go in here to filter, there's 3D here. This is not what we're looking at, but if you go into 3D up here at the top and you go to new 3D extrusion from selected layer, that's where we're going. So we're gonna do some 3D text real quick, okay? So if you grab your text tool,
Yeah, it was, but it's not like an option. It just says spiritual panorama and get more content.
draw a text layer, see if it changes. Because y'all should have the exact same thing I have. All right, let me check, see what's going on here. What's in front? These computers might need an update before we do that. All right. The computers here in the classroom are having a hard time with that. If that's the case with yours at home, y'all can just watch what I'm doing, because I think once these computers have an update, this is a new thing. So they might not have been updated since last semester, which I guess I can check on that. But so let's say I have some text. It's really easy to do. So if y'all just watch me and you have the opportunity to do this, if you have it on your own computer at home, you should be able to do this if it's updated. So I did some text. I'm going into 3D. I'm going to go to new 3D extrusion from selected layer. Wait a second. Path is too complex. No, it's not. Oh, I know why, because it has too much words in it. I'm gonna type the word ocean here. Okay. All right. It's gonna say, do you want to create a 3D workspace? I say yes. It was trying to do it with all of those words with the stuff that it populates with. And then it gives me this workspace, and now I can use these tools up here and create 3D options of the word that I have. So you can just play around with it a bit. Tilt it. Make it larger. You can play around with the different colors of the shading and of the word itself. You can this way you can kind of play with the mesh and tilt it. Okay, and then go back to layers, grab this and move it how you want it. So a lot of different options for that. Then you can close your 3D layer when you're done, and then just see what it looks like. So easy way of kind of getting 3D text, not on the computers that don't let you do it though. Is yours letting you do it? Would it? I'll look into why it won't let you do that, but it should be an easy fix to do. So I'll see why. Because my computer doesn't have anything special on it. It's just the latest version, has that 3D extrusion layer. There are other options. If it has it on there, I don't know why. Like, I don't, huh. Well, I'm not paying anything extra on my computer, so I think it's just an update that we need to figure out how to run on those. But I just thought it was something fun to show you that is a new thing that's pretty easy to do. All right, so we got through all these little things right here, except for colors and swatches. We can touch on that on Wednesday, and I just want to make sure you're aware of making sure you can get all the colors you want. And then for the rest of the week, I have a file here with some images, and you're going to create a fruit basket by taking images of fruit from multiple files, putting it all in one basket, and make it look like it all belongs together. And then I have a book cover that you're going to just recreate from scratch. And we'll work on that on Wednesday. All right, so see you guys then. Yes, I will open the Shobi link for it. And I will see you guys then. All right. I will try to figure out why it's not letting y'all do that other thing too. And this will be all under worksheet 6.
Professor Moser,
Yes,
so we are not having class Wednesday, but Friday.
you're having class Wednesday,
Oh,
but
we are having class Wednesday?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I just said for Friday, my husband's having surgery. And so sometimes people ask to Zoom on Fridays with me to like show them something. I'm going to be available via email that day, but I won't be able to do Zoom because I'll be in a hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Make sense? All right. Okay. So worksheet 6 is up there, and all these things you can throw into that folder. All right. Sound good? All right. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.